What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the official Wrestling Inc. podcast alongside Raj Giri for a special episode. You all don't get to see these beautiful faces right now, but we are, maybe for the first time ever, I don't know, for the first time since I've been here, doing a podcast to announce the Wrestling Inc. Awards. Now, we had several categories for you all to vote on throughout the week. Breakout Wrestler of the Year, Feud of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Woman of the Year, Event of the Year, Match of the Year, and Wrestler of the Year. And I calculated these. It's difficult to sift through some of these sometimes, but man, there were some surprises. I was actually surprised. There's one big surprise on here, but. Raj, any predictions? Because you don't know the results right now.
I don't. Well, let's just go. Maybe let's just go one by one. I can send you my prediction.
All right. Well, we'll start out with Breakout Wrestler of the Year.
All right, Breakout Wrestler of the Year. Boy.
And you can't click on the post and look.
I know. It's a tough one. I would go with Neville. Neville's had a big year, but he was kind of already big. Kevin Owens, but yeah, I'd probably go with Kevin Owens.
You would be right. Kevin Owens won. It was a landslide. Kevin Owens took that award. Congratulations to Kevin Owens. I know that he is honored by nothing more than to be given an award by a website in which Vince Russo works. So that's a big deal for him, I'm sure. He has had an awesome year, especially the first half. Between making his debut in late 2014, winning the NXT title, having that awesome NXT run, then debuting to beat John Cena, winning the Intercontinental title, he had his hiccups here and there. But I think he's closed the year out strong. Yeah,
I think it's there were things that with this booking that left a lot to be desired, but overall, it's definitely a good year. I mean, for Vince's for what Vince usually wants in a wrestler, and what and Kevin Owens is his appearance, and for him to be able to really overcome that, and really, in my opinion, be their most effective heel right now. It's really saying something.
Yeah, and I think he will be. I think the more he proves himself, obviously, hopefully, the more confidence they'll have in him. Sasha Banks got a lot of votes. She was in second place. Obviously, helped spearhead the WWE's Divas Revolution, which hasn't taken off the way that many would hope, but still had a great year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I would say, Sasha Banks and Charlotte all had really strong years.
Finn Balor was in third. Great year for him. He's held the NXT Championship for half the year. Also getting a few votes, more than a few actually, enough for me to make mentions. Ricochet, who performs as Prince Puma in Lucha Underground. Neville, Dalton Castle of Ring of Honor, who one of the most colorful characters in pro wrestling maybe ever, Dalton Castle is. And, of course, Chad Gable, who, man, his popularity has just exploded this year. Were any of those surprising to you?
I'd really put Chad Gable up there. But no, I think the big thing with these awards and with my picks that you'll probably be seeing is, in my opinion, there's just a big difference between the main stage and, New Japan. I mean, the main stage being WWE and New Japan. And then the other promotions, and I'm going to include NXT, even though it's technically WWE, but NXT, ROH. So breaking out on the main roster, weighs a lot more and has a lot more, value than breaking out in, say, an ROH or something like that. So if my answer seems skewed New Japan or WWE heavy, that's the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally we'll have those people that will say, you don't cover Ring of Honor enough. But, I mean, I don't know many other sites that do live pay-per-view coverage, live TV coverage, interviews with the guys, stuff like that. If you all support it and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, I'll cover anything Raj has me do. So the voting, obviously more people see WWE than Ring of Honor or New Japan or TNA or anything like that. And the voting's going to reflect that. I mean, just because somebody isn't necessarily a better player than Derek Jeter doesn't mean they always got more all-star votes than him. I mean, that's the way it works. When you're on the big stage, you have more eyeballs on you. Yeah. Next up, we have Feud of the Year. This one was a little more difficult for me because there was there wasn't an Austin Rock or a Jericho Shawn Michaels or anything this year, but there were some decent feuds. Well, what would you pick?
You said Feud of the Year, right?
Yes, correct.
I would go with I'd go with Taker and Lesnar. That was the one that had the most buzz. Both their matches had did big business. And on the website the interest was I think the highest for those two matches outside of anything other than Mania and the Royal Rumble. So I'd have to go with Taker and Lesnar. And I thought the Hell in a Cell, the build up for that was a little lackluster, but the build up to SummerSlam was great, and I thought it was one of the best build ups they've had in a long time.
Well, that actually finished third, which was a big surprise to me. Kevin Owens versus John Cena won, so 2 awards for Kevin Owens already. This feud started with such an insane amount of heat because Kevin Owens debuted as NXT champion on Raw, laid John Cena out repeatedly, then beat John Cena in his first main roster WWE match. And then, we kind of had the thing where a lot of people, and I hate it because, John Cena doesn't write the show. Obviously, he has some say, but John Cena got those 2 victories over Kevin Owens, and despite them being fantastic matches, it kind of, I thought, slowed Owens down a little bit. What did you think of the feud?
Yeah, I thought it was a good feud, but the problem I have with feuds like that is if they don't end overall in a net positive, and Owens, to the masses is more well known after that feud, but coming in and losing his first feud, whereas I think if he won that first feud, would have made a big difference. So I think that hurt it in my opinion, but that's definitely up there. I'd probably put it at 2 or 3.
Bayley versus Sasha got number 2. They obviously had fantastic matches this year. No surprise there, but it's hard to believe that a year or 2 ago that not only an NXT feud, but a women's feud would have taken second place in this. Yeah,
and it deservedly so. It was a great story, and the people involved were just perfect in their roles. So, that was you can't argue with that one.
Also, kind of funny, getting a couple of votes was Vince Russo versus Kevin Owens. I thought that was kind of funny. As we mentioned, Lesnar Taker got number 3. Some other ones that got that were not nearly close, but got some votes. Rollins versus Ambrose. Dalton Castle versus Silas Young, Ring of Honor getting some love. I thought that was a fantastic feud. And Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, another Ring of Honor feud. So they didn't go completely ignored, but had a few less votes. Next up, we had Tag Team of the Year. I think this one was pretty obvious from the get-go. Am I right, Raj?
Yeah, this one should have been just a one-sided squash match.
It was. It was a complete wash. The New Day won. We have I'd have to go back and look, but the 3-man team of Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Big E. Would you agree with this, Raj?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't see who's even close this year. The Wolves were great in the ring. They were out for a lot of it due to the injury, but it's no question.
Well, interestingly enough, the Wolves got next to no votes. I don't know if that was just because it's because TNA's the viewership has fallen off, but contrary to that, I look up and down this list. The Young Bucks were second. They were in New Japan, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor. They got quite a few votes. Nowhere near the New Day, though. The distance between 1 and 2 was just giant. Number 3 was Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, which, although they broke out this year, I thought that was a little bit of a surprise. That was, but then I think about it, and it's like, who else? Who else?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable did have a hell of a year, and hopefully they're on the main roster sooner than later, because the tag team division is really thin. I mean, they're going back and forth between Lucha Dragons and the Usos, and obviously they've kind of given up on the Dudleys. I mean, it seems clear their role was just to put the New Day over, so they need fresh blood, and those guys are ready.
Yeah, and then the Wolves, I wouldn't say next to no. I should correct myself. Not next to none, but very few votes. But they did get a few. But those top 3 were the main vote getters. The other ones were kind of scattered out. Also, Red Dragon, the Ring of Honor team of Kyle O'Reilly, and then Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. 3 really great teams there. The Wolves, Enzo and Cass, Red Dragon. It shows you how one-sided the voting is when 3 really good teams like that don't get a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had Woman of the Year. Raj, your thoughts?
I'd have to go with Paige. To me, it's close between Sasha Banks and Paige, but Paige has been, on the main roster the whole year, has been, pretty much involved in the main feud in the Divas division all year. I know a lot of people would say Nikki Bella, but there's a difference between being positioned to be in that top spot and fans reacting to you being in the top spot. And I felt like there was a reaction to Paige in that top spot, whereas Nikki Bella felt like she was just there because the company wanted her there. And that being said, Nikki Bella is a lot better this year than she was last year. And she's definitely a bigger star than she was last year. But I just felt like Paige has the natural crowd reaction. She did great as a heel and as a babyface. Made the best out of some terrible stuff she was given, like the Reed Flair, line. And I would have to go with Paige, with Sasha Banks being a close second.
Well, Paige actually didn't even finish in the top 3, which was a big surprise to me. I'm very shocked. Sasha Banks won. She had some incredible matches this year, but since she's got on the main roster, nothing. Like, just next to nothing. No, I don't think she's had title matches, anything like that. But she did have a fantastic NXT run. Is this indicative of any way, or is it telling of NXT's reach, at least for our audience?
Well, I mean, NXT is pretty much an internet show. You have to have internet access to watch it. And so, we are not indicative of the larger wrestling audience. The internet wrestling community is not indicative of the larger audience. I mean, if you did this poll asking all the Raw viewers, it wouldn't place. I wouldn't think.
Very surprised. Nikki Bella finished 3rd. Is that a shock to you?
No, not really. It's kind of what I said, that she's been positioned at the top all year, and she had the breaking the record for the longest Divas title reign. But fans never really bought her as the top woman's heel or top woman's star.
I will say she made drastic improvements in the ring and physically this year, really over the past 2 years, honestly. I remember seeing a Total Divas promo. It's the one where you see Nikki Bella and Brie Bella running towards each other, and each is on one side of the logo, and you can see the physical difference between Brie and Nikki Bella. Like, you can tell how hard that Nikki Bella has worked, and unfortunate that she has an injury. I think she's much better than people give her credit for, but didn't need to be in that position for as long as she was. It was obvious why she was in that position. Not to say that she doesn't work hard. I don't want to say that at all. Bayley, number 2. I'm not really surprised by this because of her popularity is just kind of through the roof.
Yeah, that's. I'd agree with that. I think Bayley has a ton of potential. If she's booked correctly, she could be a big star on the main roster, and she's ready too. It's just her and Asuka should be on the main roster, but then the women's division in NXT is pretty much bare bones after that.
Yeah, Paige did get quite a few votes. So did Charlotte. Dark horse that got quite a few votes, not like anywhere near Paige or Charlotte, was Kimber Lee from an independent wrestler. So good for her. I mean, getting her name out there as well. So yeah, Sasha Banks takes this one. Next up was Event of the Year. This one was, I don't know if it was hard for me to decide, but I had to put my brain around it because I do have the pro wrestling short-term memory. What was your favorite event of the year?
I went with WrestleMania. Because, again, to me, just having great wrestling, obviously, that's very important. But, WrestleMania having the crowd and the size and just that feel of a giant event. And the surprise ending, some people figured Seth Rollins might cash in, but most people didn't. And I just thought WrestleMania overall was the best event, edging out Wrestle Kingdom 9.
WrestleMania took number 2. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn was the winner. Obviously, this, as I mentioned about our viewership and stuff, I thought NXT TakeOver Brooklyn was fantastic. It had a really, really great Finn Balor, Kevin Owens ladder match. It had the unbelievable Bayley versus Sasha Banks. It had Samoa Joe and Baron Corbin, who I thought over-delivered and had a really, really good match. Apollo Crews showed up and crushed a guy. Jushin Thunder Liger, that match was decent. The Vaudevillains versus Blake and Murphy. I thought that having Enzo and Cass in that, and looking back, I wonder why they didn't have Enzo and Cass in that role, winning the tag titles in Brooklyn, because that would have taken it to a different level as well. But what did you think of that show?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I mean, like I said, wrestling-wise, all those shows are in my top 3: Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania, and NXT TakeOver. But just the enormity of the fact of WrestleMania, and again, that doesn't make it alone. If the matches at WrestleMania sucked, it wouldn't be my pick. But it's top to bottom a fun show and a long show, and that's why it takes the cake for me.
Well, Wrestle Kingdom finished 3rd, and that was headlined by Tanahashi Okada, which we're getting again at next week's Wrestle Kingdom 10. Also, Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi, Styles, Naito. The upcoming show next week will have much more. I don't want to say more American talent, but even though it's not on traditional pay-per-view, it's catered. It looks like they're trying to attract more American viewers. Because it's not on traditional pay-per-view, do you think it will perform better or worse next year due to that? Because I don't know if, even though more people could kind of see it, I don't know if a lot of people, that many people will go through the trouble of New Japan World.
Yeah, I think, I don't think you're going to see the same interest and buzz as you saw for last year. And Jeff Jarrett really did a phenomenal job promoting that pay-per-view.
He worked his ass off.
Yeah, and this one, you kind of see the buzz. Now, no one's really talking about it like they did last year. So, it's definitely not going to be what it was last year.
Yeah, I think the 3rd Tanahashi Okada kind of hurts that, and it's a shame because AJ Styles versus Jay Lethal is going to happen, or not Jay Lethal versus Nakamura will happen on that show. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Very, very few other events got any votes for this, so. Very, very top heavy. Match of the year. Raj, what was your match of the year?
That's a tough one. I'd have to go with let me think about it. What would you go with?
Man. Personally, I thought Cena versus Rollins versus Lesnar was the best match of the year. Given the stage, given everything. If we're talking about pure wrestling, Kushida versus Kyle O'Reilly in Japan. Very, very rarely will I sit through a match that doesn't have English commentary. I'm just weird like that. That was the most unbelievable match I've seen in quite a while. But given the stage and everything, Cena, Rollins, Lesnar.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see, Lesnar and Taker at Hell in a Cell too was a hell of a match, and at the end to kind of probably one of the most memorable feuds in recent memory. So, you know what? I'll follow your lead. I agree with the Royal Rumble with Lesnar, Rollins, and Cena. That was an awesome match.
Well, a lot of people did take that as their favorite, but it was second to Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT Brooklyn. I thought that was an unbelievable match. The storytelling was great. The crowd was great. Really, it was among the best American women's matches of all time.
Yeah. I mean, that was great too. That's another good choice from our readers.
Yeah, and I mean NXT. If you include NXT, Kevin Owens as NXT with like the breakout and stuff, I mean they've got Breakout of the Year, Feud of the Year, Woman of the Year, Event of the Year, Match of the Year. Like that's pretty impressive. Also, taking third just over Cena, or not Cena. Just taking third was Cena versus Kevin Owens. Also, AJ Styles versus Jay Lethal got a lot of votes. The Kevin Owens-John Cena match was at Elimination Chamber, by the way. Another really awesome match.
There was a lot of good matches this year. For how bad the booking sucked overall, I thought in WWE, I wouldn't say that about NXT. I thought the booking was actually really, really good in NXT, but and New Japan. But the matches have just been great, and Rollins is a big part of that, and Lesnar has had an outstanding year, and Reigns too. Reigns, every pay-per-view match he had, outside of the Rumble, was really good.
He had a 4-star match with The Big Show.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time someone's done that?
It's been a long time, and it's gone past the thing where you can say, "Oh, well, Reigns got carried." I don't know about that. It's hard to get carried to that number of really good matches. Like, at some point it just stops. But, Styles versus Lethal got some votes. Undertaker, Lesnar got some votes. Bayley versus Sasha taking the cake. That's a huge step forward in women's wrestling. Being recognized by an audience like that, I think it's awesome. Now we have the big one. Wrestler of the Year, and there were some pretty damn good wrestlers this year, especially at the top. Raj, what do you think?
I'd give the nod to Seth Rollins, with Tanahashi a close second. But, the bigger stage, Rollins really stepped it up. Overcame some bad booking, I thought, because, he's getting beaten every week. But, I think Rollins takes it.
Well, this was the closest vote of the entire ballot. Jay Lethal won Wrestler of the Year.
Wow.
By one vote. One vote. And there were so many people. Like, if I should go back and count the number of people that said it's a toss-up between Lethal and Rollins. One vote put Jay Lethal over Seth Rollins. And although Lethal wasn't on the same stage as Seth Rollins, their years kind of almost mirrored each other.
Right.
With Jay Lethal winning the television title and the Ring of Honor title. He still holds the Ring of Honor title. Had some incredible matches this year. Ring of Honor on pay-per-view, which has delivered this year. He's just had a great year, and he's starting off 2016 by defending the Ring of Honor title at Wrestle Kingdom. So, I mean, this guy just keeps, everywhere he goes has faith in him, except for TNA, apparently. But this was a big surprise to me. He was my pick, personally, and it was very tough. It was a 51-49 split to me. But I was very surprised that our readers picked Jay Lethal.
Yeah, I am too. Kind of looking over it right now just to see it for with my own eyes. That's pretty crazy.
He started out really, really, really strong, and it looked like it was going to be very, very easy. Then Seth Rollins started to catch up, and by the end, it was. I was sitting there and I was counting them, and I was like 1, and then I would count it in reverse. So Rollins was up by 10 or 15 votes. Then when I got to the bottom of the page, it's just lethal. I was shocked. I was very surprised. And not that it's a bad thing, but man, Seth Rollins' year.
Yeah, again, to me, it comes back to, doing it on the main stage in front of millions and millions as opposed to, in an indie, with hundreds of thousands. So, I think Jay Lethal did have a great year. He's awesome in the ring. He's great on the mic. He's really turned up his game. But until you could do that, on the main stage, I just don't see that equal to what Rollins did.
And Rollins held the WWE World Heavyweight title, I think, for 7 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Still hasn't lost it.
Yeah, still hasn't lost it. He missed about a month and a half, 2 months there. But, these two guys by far took the most. Like, I would say they probably took about 85% of the votes between the two of them. Third place, we had a virtual tie between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. Now, they didn't get a lot of votes at all because, like I mentioned, Lethal and Rollins got the vast majority. Were you kind of surprised to see Reigns even in this top three, considering the disdain that a lot of internet fans had for him for most of the year? It's calmed down, but for most of the year, that was the case.
No, I think he deserves a top, somewhere being in the top 5. Number 3, I'd probably put him in a little, just barely beating out Owens, but he's again at the very top of the card, and outside of promos, he's really improved his game everywhere else, and he was the most heavily pushed. Obviously, it wasn't an organic rise, but he's done well, and he's a star, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes this year, and how, if fans will continue to be on his side. It all depends on how he's booked, and they're just so inconsistent with him that it's hard to tell.
AJ Styles and Sasha Banks also got a few votes. I was actually surprised, despite him only being in Ring of Honor and New Japan, that AJ didn't get a lot more votes just based on the buzz around him this year, because he has had the best 2 years of his career in the ring probably since he left TNA.
Yeah, in the ring, if it was just wrestling, I'd probably go with AJ Styles or Tanahashi. And Lethal's up there too. So those would be my 3 if you just went by in-ring performance. But there's a lot more to it, and sustaining and having the crowds reacting. And again, Rollins had to overcome the bad booking and sometimes being way overused on a show and way overexposed. But he did the best he could with it, and I think he was, in my opinion, he was easily the Wrestler of the Year.
Writer of the Year went to Sean Ross Sapp in a unanimous it says here, Raj. Is that a shock to you?
Well, that is.
I was the only person who voted, so.
Well, time to shut down the site. These guys have lost their mind.
Guys, we want to thank you so much for voting. I know that between Christmas and New Year's, kind of a quiet period in wrestling, but we've got a lot of stuff coming up. UFC 195 this Saturday, Wrestle Kingdom early Monday. Join me early Monday on the website. I can't wait to cover Wrestle Kingdom 10. Of course, Raw, everything like that. It's about to be WrestleMania season, Raj.
I'm looking forward to it. This is the funnest time of the year for a wrestling fan, the January to April stretch. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you guys again for voting. Thank you for supporting the website, the podcast, all that good stuff. We will catch you later.